Hello, welcome back to the SAP ByDesign Brain Booster. Today we are going to have part three of a three-part series where we're looking at the difference between process control and calendar control. The first session we compared the two. In the second session we focused on calendar control, and in this session I want to look at process control. So process control is really about restricting access to users creating financial transactions that relate to subledgers. So this does not impact journal vouchers or journal entries, doesn't impact month-end jobs that you're running like fixed asset depreciation, revenue recognition, but it does impact entries that come through accounts payables, accounts receivables, inventory, things like that. So how do we start restricting those subledgers and apply some automation? We'll look at that today by trying to create an entry back in December. Today is early February, so we've got a prolonged month end and we want to create an entry back in time. So to start, I am going to pop into calendar control and just quickly demonstrate that there is a dependency here. So I'm going to bring up my Almica company, and both sets of books are going to come up. So I have quite a few records for periods. I'm just going to filter on my year and my period 12. And what I wanted to illustrate here is that this period is not blocked and it is available for operational postings. And as I've mentioned in previous videos, all subledger entries are flagged as operational postings. So everything looks good here. And for this reason, we should be okay to potentially create an AP entry. Let's go ahead and test that. So I'm going to go into my supplier invoices. And I previously created a journal entry for us to test. Sorry, not a journal entry, but an accounts payable invoice. And you can see that the posting date is December 31st. So now if I hit the check button, I, in fact, will not be able to post this entry. So I am getting a warning bar at the bottom that's saying I can't post an invoice for December 31st. It is blocked for financial posting. So this error message is a little vague. If we had not previously checked the calendar control, we might assume that it's the calendar control that's preventing us. But we already know that that's not an issue, so it's going to, in fact, be the process control. So I'm going to close this without saving it. And I'm going to go down to the General Ledger Work Center. I am going to go under Master Data, and I'm going to open up the companies. And then you should see all of your companies, and you only have to set process control in a single company. It will do it across all sets of books. All that you're seeing here is the default set of books. So when I choose the process control button, it's going to take me into a window that shows me the current periods, but I'm interested in adjusting something that happened in a prior period. So I'm going to change this from relevant today to all entries. And now I'm getting a list of entries, and the sorting in this can be a little bit confusing. So maybe to make this easier, you might want to say from posting date, sort descending. And that way you're getting the most recent periods up top. So the period we're interested in, the December period, goes from December 1st to December 31st. And you can see that as of the 15th, and we'll talk a little bit more in a moment, how the system decided to use 15 days. You can see that's being used consistently throughout the system to close all of the subledgers. This is not editable, and that is because it's a system created entry. So if we want to modify this, and you can see other ones here that have been manually created and therefore they're not grayed out, I could go in and change these dates. But because nobody has created a manual entry yet for the period of December, I'm going to have to do that myself. That's easy. I'm just going to choose add row. And it's popping up at the bottom here. And I'm going to just say that I want a non-blocked entry. And for now, we're going to just open it wide open. Come back and talk about that in a moment. And my posting date is going to be December 1st, 2021. And you'll see as soon as I tabbed, it kind of vanished. It actually went to the top. Why is that? It's because we had activated that filter, or rather a sort, to sort newest records. And so it's brought it up to the top. So keep an eye out for that. That can kind of startle you. You might think your record has disappeared. It might in fact be off the screen and you'll have to use your scroll bar to go find it. So we're going to go back to where we left off, and I'm going to put in my last period. And then I like to fill this in last. It doesn't really matter what order you go in. And then this is saying entry possible until. So what is the actual calendar day at which point the day after you can no longer put in entries? Today is February 4th. I'm going to go even an extra day. So I'm going to say up until the 5th, I can make entries. And then I'm going to save this. So it's telling me it's saved. Everything should be good there. I'm going to close this. I'm going to go back to my supplier invoicing, my invoices and credit memos. And let's find that document we were looking at. We're going to hit the edit button. And you can see our date 12/31. Let's try check. And it's actually telling us everything is fine. So because we've lifted that restriction, there would be no problem for us to post this entry. And in fact, we'll do that. So document 2284 is entered. And now if this was just sort of an ad hoc thing, maybe you had an emergency invoice you had to get through, but you want to quickly close the period again, we could go back into our process control, go to our companies, go to our Almica, set process control, and we will look at our previous entries. So let's just say all entries. You can see there's a few different options there. So we could have searched for manual entries, a few different options. And if we go back and once again, let's sort this descending. Let's get our December to the top. So I'm scrolling up a little bit so you can see that the system is already creating entries because today is in February. So it's already set up a record for February. The system's already assuming it's going to close on March 15th. It's done the same thing for January. And there's our December record. So we've got our system created one and we've got our manual created one. Now there's a couple of different options here. I could choose to modify this date and backdate it. So the system is going to really take the most generous record it can and allow you to post against it. The alternative is I could remove the record like it never even happened. And that would effectively now make the system generated one the most generous record. And therefore, we're back to January 15th was the last day that we could post entries to all of our subledgers. So hopefully that makes sense. Let's add a little bit more sophistication to this and talk about what these different statuses mean. So first of all, the groups, this is pretty straightforward. So you could create process controls to impact one of these specific subledgers. So you could say the subledger is blocked or not blocked as of a certain day. And this can be useful for you if, for example, you want to set this up maybe a year in advance for all of your periods, and you always know that customer invoicing closes on the 3rd calendar day of the month, but supplier invoicing maybe closes on the 5th day of the month. And maybe these other ones close on the last day of the current month or the previous month. So up to you to kind of configure which groups. And so you could get fairly sophisticated creating all these different combination of entries against the different periods. That is a fully manual step. There's no way for you to create a formula to tell the system to create these for you. There's only one formula that can be created, and that's to block everything. And that's the 15-day rule. But before I talk about that, let's look at some of these other fields. And these question marks kind of help you understand. They're quite useful. So if I hover over process control status, it tells you that using the not blocked, source documents can be posted without restriction. And then it's telling you partially blocked. Source documents can be posted, but warning is displayed. We'll come back to that. And then blocked means it cannot be posted. So that can be a little bit confusing. You're thinking, okay, am I setting it to be blocked? Am I setting it to be not blocked? It actually can be helpful if you hover over this question mark, and then it kind of gives you some more color because it's telling you what it means in relation to the date. So not blocked, source documents can be posted without restriction until the date that you've put into this field. As a default, the system is saying 15 days. Partially blocked, source documents can be posted until this date for the period, but there'll be a warning message. So you could even set up a status like maybe on the 2nd last day of the month saying, okay, accounts payable is closing in 2 days, just to start giving people warnings. And then the blocked one is saying anything until that date cannot be posted. I don't find it particularly useful to use the blocked status. To me, you're kind of using the not blocked with the date in the conjunction of it. So that seems to meet all the needs that I've ever come across. So just to wrap up, I did want to show you how to change this default 15 days. If you do want to have a faster month end, a longer month end, you can change this default. So we're going to leave the process control menu here, and we are back where we selected our general ledger companies. And there, choose whatever company. And if you go to the actions button, you can see there's an option here that says set additional entry days. If you choose that option, you can change this default. And then the next period that gets created, so kind of the next month that gets generated in your system, it will use, if we change this to 10, for example, it'll close all of your subledgers on the 10th day of the month instead. So if you want to do that, you're welcome to. And keep in mind that you have to do that for each one of your legal entities. So hopefully that helps you have a better understanding of the elements of process control and how it can help you. Thank you.